So I want to talk about compelled speech now. To speak or not to speak. So that thing I was talking about before when I was pretending to chastise myself for talking about the black community because I'm not black, that compelled speech, that is this sort of hallowed ground policy that seems to have emerged out of the woke, which is the antithesis of communication, which tells you you should really not waste your time talking with the woke. They aren't interested in conversation. Conversation clears things up. They don't want anything cleared up. Notice there are no facts on Black Lives Matter's site. They can't actually point to any data that proves their case that white police, racist pig police, their words, are hunting down young black men. Otherwise they'd have data all over. But they don't care about that. Evidence has to drive the conversation. Feeling can't drive the conversation. Feeling can drive a conversation when you're arguing with your wife or your lover or whatever. Then you can have some make-up sex. There's no amount of make-up sex that's going to fix this bullshit we're in. There is a thing about bullshit that we kind of need, because there's nothing like bullshit to just really contrast against truth and just show truth as such a beautiful thing. But this is too much bullshit. This is an overdose of bullshit. And that contrast of bullshit and truth, it usually shines a light on truth, so you really see the ecstasy of the truth and are drawn to it. But now people aren't drawn to it. They seem to be drawn to bullshit now. I don't understand why. I was brought up to be ashamed of bullshit, to be ashamed of lying. And if I heard bullshit, I would speak up. When I was younger, I did ninjutsu, and we had a part in our class, it only happened once, where we all had to sit down in a circle, and then we had to go around saying a quality about ourselves that we liked. And it went around, and I don't know, there was vague things about, you know, I'm a good guitar player, or I like writing. And then it came around to me, and I said, I can spot a phony a mile away. And it was kind of silence. Maybe they assumed that I was talking about them, but I wasn't. I said that I liked that about myself, that I can spot a phony a mile away. So I was in the kitchen and I was just sort of thinking about what a conversation would be like between two friends who were under this spell of compelled speech. One of them would be like, I think like this. And it makes me feel like I'm a good person because I think like that. Oh, I agree. I think like that too. God, it's great thinking like this, isn't it? Oh, so great. We should find others that think like us. Yes, we should. Let's do that. And all the people that don't think like us, we should make it obvious to everyone else that if they don't think like us, they're not like us. I mean, that is a bit cult-like, isn't it? Because I've just watched that show, The Vow, about the Nexium group. Creepy shit. This all applies to the woke. If you're worried about the offense you might cause by speaking, then you can't care that much about the plight of the black community. The ship is going down, but let's not talk about why it's going down. It'll be better for everyone. If we just watch the ship go down, at least we won't offend anyone while the ship bubbles away beneath the surface. You can get a billion people saying one wrong thing. It's still wrong. And it does not matter how many people you find to back your wrong play. It is still wrong. I could compel myself not to make this video, and I have. I have procrastinated. I have avoided making this video like the plague. What the hell? Why do I want to make these videos? I don't want to talk about this shit. I just want to speak, but as much as I am a fan of fantasy and storytelling because I'm an artist and I love the world of fiction, I am a really big fan of reality and facts. Stories are great, but without reality we have nothing but bullshit. You can't build art on bullshit. You can't build a world on bullshit. You can't build a civilization on bullshit. You can't build a society on bullshit. It will crumble eventually. Enjoy the ride of these lies while you can, because it is not going to last. Sooner or later the body is going to need some nutrition. That woke body will need some real nutrition before those, what is it in those athletes, the lactic acids will start to eat away at the muscle of the woke unless it comes back down to earth and plants its feet in reality. So speak up if you feel strongly about the current state of affairs. Lose some friends if you have to. You could probably stand to lose a few anyway. As I've said before, dinner parties will be cheaper, and you know there's some friends in your circle that you could put out to pasture, and this is your big chance to let them go. They won't even know why they're gone. All you have to do is say, mention Trump did some good things for the black community. That's enough. Just throw one out. Talk about the First Step Act, where he has made it possible to release some criminals who have been sentenced for non-violent crimes, like, say, smoking pot or whatever. And 95% of them were black. This is a good thing. Mention that. You could lose friends just by that. I mean, that's something they want, but they don't want Trump to do it. If Obama had done it, that would have been great. But unfortunately, the big orange man did it. The bad man. So I've been watching lots of videos. Glenn Lowry, John McWhorter, Gad Sad, Sam Harris, James Lindsay. Oh, James Lindsay is fucking great. All great minds. Heather McDonald, Brett Weinstein. I don't agree with everything they say, but they're all very interesting people. And a lot of them, when they're talking about this woke, compelled speech stuff, they mention that a lot of people in the professional sort of sphere, they thank them quietly via email or phone and say thank you for what you're doing, speaking out against the woke, and then declare that they won't do it because they're afraid they'll lose some friends or their job or tenure or whatever. Fuck that. Either thank them in public or don't thank them at all. I guess these people are okay with it, but as far as I'm concerned, if you can't thank these people in public, don't cowardly thank them in private. It doesn't help them. It just helps the woke. It helps continue the lie. We need more people to stand up in public. Do you realize if you have 100 people in a room who are all woke and then 99 of them stand up and say, we've decided not to be, that leaves one idiot in the room? It's very easy to do. I don't understand how lying and hating your country has become so highly fashionable. It must really confuse immigrants and people who want to emigrate from other countries to the land of the free. They want to go to America and Australia and the UK, places like that, to have a better life. Yet on the news, they just see people complaining about the great lives that they're leading. I mean, I know everyone's not living a great life, but America is not Syria. So if I was one of these highfalutin, intelligent philosophy types, and some people were thanking me thanking me quietly, not on the front lines, I would say you can take your thank you and shove it where it doesn't shine. It doesn't help me at all. It hurts. So this is something about compulsion that I'm going to read now. So anytime I feel compelled to think a certain way or to speak a certain way that will keep my head down in line with the rest of the crowd for fear of being cast as an outlaw, I say to that, fuck no. Compelled speech to keep a lie on life support, meanwhile the truth cowers, is no way to go. And I don't care how many of you believe bullshit, I will not go along with it. Reality is all we have. Gravity is all we have. Mathematics is all we have. Science and evidence is all we have. Rational thought is all we have. Anytime a group of people attempt to compel you to align your thoughts and speech with theirs just because the numbers are over you, that should worry you. And it should tell you a lot about the content of their thought patterns. Otherwise they wouldn't need such huge numbers. For them it is quantity over quality. So I saw this documentary about this conformity experiment called the ASH paradigm. So that's ASCH. Basically, you've got 8 actors and 1 non-actor in a room. They're given 2 cards, one with 1 line and 1 card with 3 lines. And on this 3-line card, one of those lines is exactly the same as this line here. So all of the actors would purposely get it wrong. So that group of people had to come up with a person that would tell the people who were conducting the experiment, this is the line we've decided is the same length as the one on this card. So they would all purposely get it wrong and choose the really long line and say that was exactly the same as this short line. So the non-actor, 37% of the time, to stick in with the group and not have his head rise out of step with the decision made by the group, would choose the wrong answer because they didn't want to show themselves up to be different from the group. That's insane. Look, 60% of the time they chose the right answer, but the fact that 40% of the time they chose the wrong answer just because they didn't want to show themselves to be different from the group and having a different answer, that is compelled speech. That's what the woke are betting on, is the numbers. So less numbers, less woke. So it's the same thing with telling somebody with white skin they can't talk about the black community. Just more segregation of thought, segregation of facts, segregation of feelings. It's such a cruel formula that our differences in skin color exclude certain people from being able to understand each other. That makes absolutely no sense. So from being able to care enough to want to communicate about how I feel about a certain group of people's plight in the inner city communities, I mean, who the hell are you to tell me which fellow brothers and sisters of mine I can talk about? Yes, that's right, brothers and sisters. I know I live miles away from them, but I do think about my fellow brothers and sisters, no matter what color skin. What are we going to have? White thoughts only and black thoughts only? Black people think about black people, white people think about white people. What the hell is that? Do not think here. Do not speak of this. Keep your thoughts contained within this space. Don't you realize the desire to speak about the black community and its problems mean we care to know how to help fix the situation? That is the generosity of communication and conversation, and to listen is the best gift you can give. Honest communication, anything other than that is selling your fellow human beings short. The desire to shut down communication because you deem it off limits is the most selfish act one can perform. The act of communication is to enlighten all sides, to educate each other. You don't have to get it right all the time either. I may not have any solutions, but I'm not going to find the solutions by shutting up. If I talk and I think it's a solution and then everyone thinks it's not going to work, then I now know it won't work. And it's a conference. We all confer with each other to find the best result. I'm probably getting a lot of this wrong, but how am I going to know unless I put it on this video? I'm hoping you on the other side of this conversation are people bringing a modicum of forgiveness and compassion and are willing to compromise within this dialogue that I am saying. And how dare anyone ever tell us that we can't share our stories and opinions in order to bring us closer to each other for fear of offending the other side of this conversation? We are built to deflect insults with humor, but to not take everything so personally. This is just another bit about the Democrats. See, with the Democrats, I thought that they were the party of free speech. That's what attracted me to them. Their liberal values were about liberty. But it turns out that they're only interested in free speech when they're in power. And then when they lose that power, they're not so crazy about free speech coming from other people they don't agree with. So they tout free speech as one of their values, but once that transference of power has taken place, that transference of values happens, and when they hear free speech coming at them, they don't quite know what to do, do they? Then they want to shut down free speech, because it drives them mad that Trump is in power, and he's for free speech. This is insane. Like, how did this happen? Like, there's no way I thought. Go back to the early part of a video that I made, which was I was mildly terrified that Trump was going to win. Now I am more than mildly terrified he might lose. So, yeah, that certainly does make things very interesting.